Okay, we're on the downswing. We're on the back side of the folder. So the back side of this folder, a lot of it is, if anybody's ever had a dog, a lot of it they're going to know. Some of it's just a refresher. But there is a really good sheet in here that says how to become a pack leader. And with this new puppy in your house, whether you've got just your husband and yourself or just kids, just maybe another dog and kids and husband or a wife or whatever, there's still a pack. Even if it's just going to be two of you, it's still a pack. It's either going to be you're the boss or the dog's the boss. So this will tell you some really good things to do and good things not to do. The biggest thing I cannot express enough is do not let this puppy rule your life. Don't change your life for this dog. Don't take a week off from work when you get this dog. You want this dog to roll right into your schedule. So a lot of teachers will say, oh, I'm going to get a dog to school as soon as school's out. Well, that's great, but then you kind of change your life and include the dog in it all the time, and then when you go back to school, you can really expect that dog to roll backwards a month or so. And maybe start doing some things to get even with you because you've left the dog at home and you're not taking the dog. You don't want to make your dog dependent on you. You want to have an independent but still love you, still want to be your best friend, still want to be with you when you're there, but you want it to be comfortable and stable when you walk out the door and the dog's still home. I know you've all seen those videos where the dog tears the couch apart, tears the newspapers up, shreds the curtains, tears the crate apart that it lives in. That's because the dog's schizophrenic. So when you get this puppy home, the biggest thing that everybody hates for me to tell them is do not make this puppy your hip ornament. For the first 2 months, this puppy should not sleep on your lap, should not sleep on the floor outside of its crate, should not be wandering loose in the house when you're doing the dishes or you're doing the laundry and the dog's just loose. That's not good. So when you are not physically interacting with this puppy, put it in the crate or put it in an X pen. Do not let it have the run of the room or the run of the house. A lot of people, they'll say, oh, but I want to hold it while it sleeps. If you want this puppy to become quickly crate trained, not cry when it's put in its crate and be to the point where it enjoys its crate, you can't leave it out with you all day long. It's got to learn when it comes to your house, because here they're not like that. They know the crate. They don't cry in our crate. They know that's how it is, and that's how they've been raised, and they don't know any different. So when you put it in the crate and it starts to cry, don't go over and say, it's okay. Let it cry for about 4 or 5 minutes. If you sit and stare at it and it's got eye contact with you, it's going to cry. If your kids walk over and go, it's okay, it's going to cry. If you've had it out with you all day, if it's always been with you the whole day, and all of a sudden it's time for you to go to bed and you put the puppy in the crate, it's going to scream. It's not just going to cry, it's going to scream. So the big thing when it's here is we work on no bark, no bite, no lick. Those are the 3 commands we use. We also teach the puppies the word out. So the first one with the no bark, whenever this puppy's in the crate and it's making a noise, it doesn't matter what comes out of its mouth. It can be a squeal, a bark, a howl, a yip, a moan. It's no bark. It's just one simple word covers the whole gambit of the noises it's going to make. So for us, when we first bring them in, which when you first take them home, if they start to cry and whine at me, I will smack my hands really hard so it kind of gets its attention. And I'll say, no bark. And I do it really sternly. I might give it another chance, and if I turn around and walk away and it doesn't quit the next minute or so, I walk back and smack my hands again, and it stops, and I say, no bark. Okay? I walk away. It does it again. This time I have a leather fly swatter, and I'll take the fly swatter and I'll swat the pup, and I'll say, no bark, at the same time I swat the puppy. And it's not a little tap, it's a swat. It's a leather fly swatter. It does not hurt. It gets their attention. And it's like, oh, okay, I guess she really means it. Usually we can take a puppy when it comes in the house with us. We can, in 2 days, we can say, no bark. And it stops because it's learned that it's going to get a fly swatter if it doesn't. It doesn't take long. If you are really on the stick, you really stick to a regiment, you can change them when they get to your house because they don't know you. So they're going to try you. They're going to push your buttons just like a kid does when it comes. When your kids are at home and they know how to push your buttons and how far they can push your buttons, but they go to grandma's house or a friend's house and that parent says, we're not having it. They learn real quick that those other people are not going to put up with it. Well, this pup is going to try you. It has to learn that you're not the other people that are going to put up with it. Chewing on your fingers when you're sitting there on the couch and you're loving on them and they're biting your fingers, they're not lovingly caressing your fingers. They are trying to figure out if they can be your alpha. They can figure out if they can chew on you. If you were here and you watched them with the mother dog, when they're nursing, if mom's laying there contently and they're nursing and they're getting a little bit older and all of a sudden it bites that mother, she leans up real quick and she looks at him really stern and that puppy just kind of freezes. Well, if it does it again, she'll bump him with her nose and she'll growl a little bit. If they're dumb enough to bite her the third time, she nails him hard. She makes him scream. She bites him. And they actually run across the other side of the pen as far as they can get from her and huddle in a corner because they're scared to death she's going to do it again. And then you'll see them sheepishly come back in a little while, not right away, and they'll look at her and kind of cow down and crawl over to her, and they'll nurse with no problem. And they never bite her again. Same thing with you and the puppies. The more you let them chew on your fingers, the harder and the more determined it's going to be to where they're going to be biting you and drawing blood at some point or nipping your fingers. So that is a habit you absolutely do not want to do. Even if you have older people in your family and you tolerate it at your house, other people hate it. And I also have had a lot of older families that have bought a dog and call me about 6 months and tell me, we can't do this anymore. We're going to have to return the dog. And I say, why? Well, it's biting my mother, or it's tearing mother's skin and it won't stop biting at her hands. First question I ask is, did you make the dog quit biting you? Do you let it bite you? Well, yeah, it was really cute when it was little and now we don't know how to make it stop. Well, that's a big problem because then you've got to reverse several months of what you've let happen and then it is a nightmare. So I would suggest up front you stop the biting right up front. Little kids don't understand, so if you've got a little one in the house and they're on the floor and the pup's over there kind of all over their face and starting to bite at their hands, reach across and crack that dog in the nose and say, no bite. We do the same thing here. None of our puppies touch us with their teeth. So if they are starting to chew on your fingers, you can pop them in the nose and say, no bite. Don't do the pat, pat, pat with your finger because what you're doing is you're teasing them in their terms. You're not doing it in your terms teasing, but they think you're teasing them. So just a quick smack on the nose, make it count, say no bite, and be done with it. Don't pet them and say, oh, it's okay. Mother doesn't do that when she bites them. Do not apologize to the puppy. Don't try and smooth it over for the puppy. You got to be the alpha. If you have little kids in a carrier or little kids that are toddlers, please don't leave them alone with a puppy. Even though the puppy is cute and fuzzy, they can still hurt this child without knowing it and not meaning to. Either their toenails or they're going to bite them. Their teeth are like little needles. So be a little bit of an advocate for the little one and intercede and teach the dog to respect the baby also. A couple more things. If you have them on the couch, they have never jumped off of the height of a couch. Make sure when you get up off of a couch, you put them on the floor. If you're a family that doesn't want them on the couch, don't ever put them on the couch because once they break that barrier and they find out, oh, I can sit up there, you're going to catch them up there all the time. So if you don't want them up there, don't start them up there. I'm always open for questions too. If you have a question or you wondered how we did something, please give me a call. I don't mind at all. The other word we teach them is the word out. If I have to go back in the kennel and clean their kennel up, I don't want their help. I don't want them running back there with me. I don't want them helping me. I will take a fly swatter with me and I'll tell them out and I'll swat them and make them get out. It takes about 2 minutes to teach them the word out. The nice thing is if you teach them the word out and you drop a glass or you drop something in the kitchen, you don't want them running over to see what it is or in the middle of a mess, you can say out and they'll turn around and go backwards and go sit down and look at you, but they won't climb in the midst of what you're doing. Licking is the other thing that I personally absolutely hate. I do not let them lick me. I don't like my face licked. I don't like my hands licked. I know how much poop and urine they eat, and I don't want to lick them I don't want them licking me in my face. So for no lick, it's the same thing. I pop them in the nose and I say no lick, and that's it. Takes about a day and a half, 2 days, and they don't lick us anymore. If you like dog lick kisses, that's fine. It's your family's thing. They will be more than glad to oblige you. Just remember, other people that come to your home may not like it. And lastly, where it comes to the no bark, no bite, no lick, which it doesn't have a lot to do with it, but have you ever been to somebody's house where when you walk in the door, the dog's going ballistic and it's jumping up and down on you and it doesn't quit and you just can't get their dog off of you? I know everybody's had that feeling and been there and done that. You can stop that because you've created that. So the thing to do is with a new puppy, stop it before it ever starts. So when you come home, this puppy should be in a crate anyway. So when you walk in the door, don't go, hi, mommy's home, and clap your hands and do all the fun things that everybody does, because you will notice that your voice just amps that brain right up. That high squeaky baby tone makes them crazy. And then they get super excited and they pee on the floor and you touch them and they pee on the floor. And I know that everybody out there that's ever gone to visit someone that pets their dog has had a dog pee on the floor at some time because you touched it. And the reason it does that is your voice. So if you can talk to them in a normal voice instead of that high baby voice, when you come in from somewhere and you walk in the door, it's no touch, no talk, no eye contact. Don't even look at the dog. You walk in, put your stuff away, hang your coat up or whatever the thing is you're doing, walk over to the crate calmly and say, come on, let's go outside, or let's go outside, or go potty, whatever the word is you guys use to teach the puppy when they've got to go outside. That's great. Just don't do the baby voice. You'll notice such a big difference, and you'll notice when somebody does come in and they go, oh, look at the puppy, and that goes up and up and the dog just gets ballistic. So if you're going to have a family get together and you've been really working diligently on training your puppy, it will behoove you to say, before you come, this is my dog rules. Don't talk to the dog when you come in, please. You know, yada yada. We'll get the dog out later and let everybody see the puppy. And once everybody's met the puppy, when you're in the middle of training and starting to get this puppy rolling in the way you want it to go in your house, say, okay guys, we're going to go put the puppy up for now. And go put it back in another room so the puppy doesn't interact with everybody and keep getting hypered and wild. And I'm going to sneeze, I'm sorry. So those are just some things that, I don't want to sneeze, that I can tell you offhand. You're more than welcome to ask me when you come. Any questions about it you've got, and I can explain more if you need to. These are just tips that we have found worked really well for us. If you've had dogs all your life and you like to do it a certain way and it works for you guys, that's great. I'm not telling you our way is the best way. I'm just telling you what works for us, because a lot of people don't know how to stop something. There's a great book out there since you've got a couple weeks before your puppy comes home. It's called How to Raise the Perfect Puppy by Cesar Millan. It's a great book. He has a lot of practical recommendations, things for you to try. So take a look at that if you want, and I'll be back in a few minutes and we'll finish up the last video.